day of June 2025. My name is Kurt, and this is my daily Good Life meditation. Something that I do every day around 5:30 a.m. And boy, I really am noticing the summer solstice has passed. Usually about this time the sun would just be coming up, but by usually I mean last week. But now I'm ahead of the sun, so I guess it'll be decreasing every day. Good spot to do this and see how the days change every day. Anyway, this is a personal video that I do that I do publicly. I do that for very selfish reasons. I do that because I do a better job if I know I'm going to do it in front of a potential audience. So that's why I do this way. As a consequence, anyone is welcome to look over my shoulder and listen and observe as I try to make myself into a better human being. As I strive to live a better life, improve. I could go on and on. So to begin with, let me say welcome to new subscribers to the channel. I'm glad you're here. This is a video where I'll not only talk about my own life unapologetically, I'll also talk about subjects that sometimes make people uncomfortable, very uncomfortable in fact. It's astonishing how uncomfortable my daily discussion of death, my own plan for death, makes people feel. I get cards and letters weekly, if not sometimes daily, from people who are unsettled by my discussion, my comments here. That's interesting. Protesting mostly. Okay, and finally, thank you for your support. You're watching my video. If you're a member of my YouTube channel or a supporter on Patreon, you make a big difference. Let's get into it. I'm going to do 3 things now. I'll talk about the last 24 hours, go over the 8 objectives of my creed, and then discuss the coming day. For the last 24 hours in my little notebook here, I only have one note, and it says, more gross incompetence. And in parentheses, I wrote acceptance. So really that note, more gross incompetence, really stands not for just the last 24 hours, but the weekend in general. And by gross, I don't mean disgusting. I mean wholesale incompetence on full display, without unapologetic incompetence on the part of my life. Not that I'm not apologetic for my incompetency. I am. I'm very apologetic when it happens, and I feel really bad about it when it happens. But it's like, it's like the incompetency in me is, it's unapologetic. It's become so much that you should see me when I'm driving my car. When I'm backing up, I drive as a regular driver. I drive like an old man for sure right now, very slowly and very cautiously, which is okay. But you should see me backing up. Man, I back up like a really old person now. That said, my backing up on Saturday, in spite of my super extra caution, I still almost backed into a tree. If it hadn't been for my, oh my gosh, I just realized that. If it hadn't been for my incredible caution, I would have certainly slammed the car into a tree. Now, that's just one thing, and I don't need to catalog all of them. But it's like that now, daily, one after another. So much so that it's almost comical. I set out into the world like a man bereft with a little, how do you describe this? There's no good way to describe this. So the point though isn't to go over it in glorious detail. The point is to simply observe that it's continuing, it's increasing. But the good thing is, I'm doing, and that's where the word acceptance comes in. I'm doing two things about it. One, hashtag reason, I'm conspiring to change my way of interacting with the world so that my gross incompetency has less of an opportunity to really foul me up. Driving really slowly is one way to do it. Another is to double check all my actions. I had a huge incompetency yesterday that doesn't even need to be discussed. I'm so embarrassed about it. Huge incompetency yesterday that really set me back on my heels. And I'm still set back on my heels about it. The way I'm going to handle that is that I'm going to insert a protocol into my life at that particular junction, because it was an incompetency relative to something that I do routinely every day. So I'm going to insert a protocol into my day to help me to avoid that. Nevertheless, it really set me back on my heels. So I'm using hashtag reason. I'm using hashtag to think my way through and against the current of what's happening. I'm using hashtag fortitude and the good and good emotional reactions. It's two separate things. Fortitude is a sub principle of temperance, which is one of the principles of the creed. Oh, by the way, I haven't talked about that. It's going to appear backwards on your screen, but my book Going Alone is where I wrote down all my objectives and principles in my creed. And so when I say hashtag this, hashtag that, I'm referring to the principles and objectives in this creed. Here comes the sun, as the song says. Okay, so that's all there is for that. Regarding the creed, my 8 objectives, which I always think about right now, and I ask myself, how am I doing with these 8 objectives, are as follows. To be always ready to die. Asking myself, are my affairs in order? Yes, they are. There's one thing I need to do, but it's a routine thing. You know what? I need to teach Yumiko how to do this. One thing. Which is at the start of every month, I do the money transfer over, bring money over from the United States to our bank here in Japan, which is our monthly budget. I do that. And Yumiko knows where the money is, and she has access to all the accounts, but she's not practiced in bringing it over. I really need to teach her how to do that. She can figure it out. Emily knows how to do it. Emily modeled her remittance protocol after the one that I set up. So Emily's well tutored in how to do all of this. Emily could show Yumiko how to get our money. But I really should teach Yumiko how to do that. I should sit with her tomorrow. I'll do the remittance tomorrow and walk her through it. Better yet, I should get the proper software on her phone so she can do it herself. So, no. So I guess I'm not ready to die. My affairs are not completely in order. It's in order enough that I could die right now and she'd be okay. Between Emily and her, they'd figure it out. But I really should help her with that. Let me make a note about that. Second question about readiness for death is, are my relationships sound? Now, my mother has been on a real tear this week and last week and the week before that. She's really upping her game. So, I won't go into details, but I will say that, you can remember I'm talking about I'm having my relationships in order, my relationships. So, namely with my family, and I really don't have friends anymore, but namely with my family, are my relationships sound? They are with everybody, my wife, my daughter, my brother, my niece and nephew. It's my mother who's the challenge, and it has always been a challenge, and she's a challenge for both myself and my brother. And and I won't I won't say much because she can't defend herself, but I will say that she actively works to harm her family. I mean, it's her, it's her hobby. So she's really upped her game this week, and she's exploring new territory. Now the reason, why do I put up with it? Well, she's 90 now, and she's going to fall and slip and break her hip soon enough, or what, something equivalent to that, and she's going to need my brother and I to step in and help her out. So I read all of her email, and I keep all of her email for two reasons. One, so that I can assess her condition and be ready to respond in a moment's notice. And two, so that I keep all the email, and I sort of, and I categorize them, so that when the time comes, that I can make a case to the appropriate authorities that this woman isn't well, and she needs the help of her family to, not get into further trouble. So I read all of her email, and I keep all of her email. So she's really, really upped her game. So much so that I won't even tell you, Miko, the things my mom's saying right now, because it would unsettle my wife a lot. So, no, it's not a good relationship. Is it sound, though? If I knock on the thing that is my relationship with my mother, is it sound? Is there anything hollow about it? It's certainly rotten, but it's as sound as it could be. There's nothing more that I can do to engender a connection with her so that I'll have a way to know her state. My brother blocks her entirely, so he doesn't even know what's going on. But I keep a conduit open. So it's sound. It's as sound as it can be. It's sound enough that I have an earpiece to what's going on with my mom's life, so that I'll know when she needs me, us. So yeah, my relationships are sound. It doesn't mean they're good. They're all good. It just means that they're not empty. They're not hollow. They're not hollow and vacuous of some sort of a structure, whether that structure be sound or rotten. No, healthy or rotten, good or rotten. And the third question is my life's work complete? And that my life's work consists of two things: successfully raising our daughter to adulthood, check, and codifying the values that I've striven my life to develop and refine, and they're all in my book going along. So yeah, I'm definitely ready to die then. My life's work is complete, my relationships are sound, and my affairs are in order. Minus the one thing, which isn't even really a big one. Number two, second objective, is to make good and effective use of my time. Boy, I did a good job this weekend. I really did balance. Remember, this is my journal, so I can be as self-congratulatory as I like. I really balanced my my activities relative to time, throwing in enough time to just, enjoy myself. Really having a fun day yesterday with my wife and my sister-in-law, and Dad too. We had a beautiful feast with Dad. Yoko made it was so good. I need to send her a thank you message for that. It was a good day. It was a good weekend. Yeah, good use of time. 3, to develop and maintain good and sound life principles. Again, the principles and objectives outlined in my book going along. And I've worked very hard to develop those. 4, to cultivate good emotional reactions so that I'm responding well. Like, for example, I said earlier, when I encounter my gross incompetencies, which are, my life is rife with incompetency now. Just it's comical. I know I'm belaboring the point, but it is almost comical how incompetent I have become. And so many things. But I'm reacting well to it. It doesn't, it's like, when this first started happening, when I first became incompetent, when I first began to become incompetent, or at least overtly so, it startled me every time. It's like, holy crap, Kurt, what did you just do? Or why did you just do that? What the hell is going on? I would be startled. Now I'm kind of like, oh, there it is again. There's another one. There's another instance of it. Huh. So I guess that's a good emotional reaction. Remember, that's the objective, is to react well to what's going on in life. Make better decisions relative to that. Next is to perform good actions relative to my creed. That's not one I really need to even think about much anymore, because since I touch the creed every day and I align myself with my values, my actions are typically in strong accord with those values. It's easy, it's a gimme. But it's only a gimme because I do this every day. Because I turn the camera on, I make this video, I reflect on the last 24 hours, I remember my objectives and the principles broadly, and then I plan for the coming day. Number 6 is to do just one thing at a time, and do that thing slowly, deliberately, and carefully. Which is, even though that's not my natural way of doing things, it's become my natural way of doing things by virtue of the fact that I've forced myself to do this for so many years. Now, next, number 7 is to, or maybe this is number 8. Yeah, number 8 is to keep my balance. Balance refers to the mental equanimity, the peace that comes inside the mind of a life attuned to one's values, lived in a measured manner, making good use of time, slowly, #slowly, deliberately, and carefully, #within our limits, #in pursuit of virtue, and #striving to make good use of time in order to #be always ready to die. So yeah, you can see how the values, the objectives then, all 8 of them, are laid out like I've done these books. Check this out. They're not all there. I'm missing 3 books. Let's go inside real quick. Hi, little Rudy. Hi, Rudy. I'm gonna step over you, don't get startled. These are the 18 books that I recommend in my life. There's 15 of them, and I'm missing 3 volumes. And I've organized them in order. And they're all listed in the back of Going Alone, so in order. So I've carefully organized these 18 books, of which 3 are missing, in order basically to provide my daughter and my descendants with a reading list. Let's say, for example, that 2 generations down the road, assume Emily has kids, and my great grandkid gets a hold of Going Alone, and they're intrigued by what their grandfather or great grandfather, or whatever the case may be, lived and did. Here in the back of the book, and I wondered, how can I inculcate such a state of mind myself? There's a recommended reading, and these are all 18 of the books, the same 18 books laid out in order. This is the order in which I recommend that they should be read, in order to build upon one another. So some of the things that will be learned in the first, second, or third book will then be compounded and capitalized on in the succeeding books. You see how that works? Likewise with the 8 objectives. I've laid them out, beginning with readiness for death and ending with balance in the same way. If we can attend to the objectives at the front, then that leads us down the path of satisfying the objectives at the end. Took a while to figure that out, but it works. All right, and then I promised, well, I don't promise, but I usually promise myself to read one principle from the book. Today I'm going to read the Bullseye Aim, principle number 30. You can find these principles laid out in my book Going Alone in the chapter titled The Good Life near the end. You can read it for free on goingalone.org. The Bullseye Aim, which is just like it sounds, like shooting to a bullseye with darts. Our best ambition is to achieve our goals and objectives to the extent that we can feel our effort is complete. That is often a pretty high mark, even with a pessimist's aim. The fact that we frequently fall short, well short, or at least short enough to cause us to bluster or regret that we even tried. For myself, I will be satisfied if I have made a good and honest effort. There is really no other time to lose. I read those last three sentences wrong. Let me try that again. The fact is, we frequently fall short, well short, or at least short enough to cause us to bluster or regret that we even tried. For myself, I will be satisfied if I have made a good and honest effort. There is really otherwise no time to lose. I wrote this principle to remind myself that when setting a goal or planning something out or deciding how I want to proceed, I should expect, like a man throwing darts at a dartboard, to hit the mark squarely. Only in infrequent instances should be quite the exception that I get a bullseye. Most of the time I'm going to miss the mark and gain points, relative points, in proportion to my misalignment with what I was trying to do. This is a very stoic principle insofar as it causes me to focus more on my response to my failure to strike the bullseye than my excessive expectation of success. Setting a goal and then holding myself to the unreasonable expectation that I will always meet, or even come close to always meeting my mark, is what I avoid. I set the goal, I strive for the mark, and I expect to hit the mark once in a while, but I'll be satisfied with a good effort. That's it. Okay, as for today, I'm actually going to go on an adventure today. I worked really hard last week on my YouTube store and my eBay store, which are they're two versions of the same thing, except the eBay store has merchandise. The big trick was figuring out how to do the merchandise effectively so that I could do bulk shipping and do bulk purchases and apply discounts. There's tools in eBay that allow us to do that. Those tools didn't exist when I was doing eBay back from 2003 until 2008. So I figured them out over the last week. I modeled a listing for kake no tane, my wife's favorite snack, and it's listed and it came out great. Now, with that and a whole process and a protocol now for listing antiques and a good measure of antiques ready to go, I'm going to at last go out and have a little bit of fun. So I'm going to take the car after breakfast, and Rudy and I are going to head to the mountains. We're going to go look at an Akia that I found on Akia Mart, the website for vacant homes, vacant homes. That's technically what an Akia is. It's a vacant home, not an abandoned home, but a vacant home. And then I'm going to try to fold some and wrap some adventure around that. So I'm going to do that today. Not a lot of fanfare. Just going to go head out and do it. Hopefully I can, that'll break the ice, start the new way of life. Okay, let's go ahead and read comments, and then I'll wrap this up. Good morning, Tim. I think sometimes unforeseen circumstances that are beyond your control, I just try and accept, hopefully learn from it. But unsure if I didn't foresee it, that it makes me incompetent. Unsure. I hear what you're saying. I'm. It's a fire truck. Going right past our house. Stopped right there. Hold on. stopped right over there by the river. I'm gonna have to go down there and see what's going on. Tim, I hear what you're saying. This feels different. It feels different than things not going as I expect. It feels like my capability has fallen away. Tim continues. I think if I learn from an unexpected situation, if it happens again, I will be better prepared. I would hope so. Here you go. Aaron, for teaching money transfers, consider a written procedure or maybe a pass the weekly responsibility to Miko-san. Nice idea. Thank you for sharing your thought, Aaron. Apologies for spelling, if my spelling is off, it's a hot one this evening. Got it. Hi, Robert. Robert says hi to everybody. Evelyn, hi Evelyn, haven't seen you for a while. Hi Kurt, regarding money transfers, can I use Wise to purchase other currencies for my travels? Yes, you certainly can. And it's an excellent way to, you can carry your money in US dollars and other, in whatever you want. I think, within reason, even Bitcoin. There's Tim says hi to, Tim says hi to Robert. Robert says hi to Evelyn. Evelyn says hello, hello. Tim says, setting goals takes me back to work where I would set my goals and strive to hit the bullseye, only to be completely derailed by my boss, something I came to despise and despair with. Yeah, I know that feeling. Hi, Erica. Sure hope no one is hurt. Ambulance. Me too. It's like right there. And the grandma 2 doors down just walked out of her backyard to go see what's going on. All right. I'm going to go see what's going on. Be the nosy senior citizen. Take care, everybody. Thanks for joining me today. Wish you all, hello, Thrallershern. I don't know how to pronounce your name. Welcome here. I don't participate much, but I listen every day. Oh, do you? Thank you. Well, it's good to know you're there. And I'm excited for all the travels you've been doing. Take care, everybody. Have a great day. Be safe, but not too safe. Bye-bye.